Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of First Person, sponsored again by the Precision Strip Company in Minster, Ohio. Decades of service to the Lachey County communities of Minster and New Bremen, and as we always talk about, a great place to either start or finish your career. They're always looking for good people. Contact them by phone or, of course, by email, or check them out on the internet. The address scrolling along the bottom of our interview here. The Precision Strip Company in Minster, supporters of PressProsMagazine.com. We are, as you can see, at the 96th Annual State Boys Basketball Tournament, and our guest is a guy very familiar with state championships, tournaments, and the MAC Conference. He's Jim Lachey, former standout with the St. Henry Redskins. Thanks for taking the time. Always fun to sit down and talk with guys like you.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here. Of course, this is a great atmosphere, and as you said, being from St. Henry, and kind of brings a smile on our face, everybody's faces, when we get a chance to come back to Columbus for the state basketball tournament, because I think our first state championship in our school was 1979, and man, since then it's been like 20-some that they've added to it. So it's always special to come back to these state championships, and if I'm in town this time of the year, I try to get over here for as many games as possible.
With everything that you've done at St. Henry, at Ohio State with the Washington Redskins, a proud alumni of Dan Snyder's football team. Maybe not Dan Snyder, but
he owns it.
Of that football team. It's his to call.
That's it.
But I dare say that events like this weekend have an awful lot to do with making Jim Lachey's life and everything that you have and what you are now come to pass.
It's wonderful. I've gotten involved with the Ohio High School Athletic Association Foundation probably about, I'm saying 10, 15 years ago that I've been involved with it. And through that, I got a chance, of course, to meet the commissioners, Claire Mascaro at first, and then now Dan Ross, Dr. Dan Ross. Of course, we now know that he's going to be stepping down and looking for another replacement there. So I got to know those guys as leaders, and certainly their mission is pure. High school sports is what it's all about, and I think in the state of Ohio, we do it as well as anybody in the country. If you look at the athletes that we produce year in and year out. If you look at the football players, basketball players, track and field, curling, whatever you want to put it, Olympic sports, it's here. So it's fun to be associated with Ohio High School. And then they came up with the Circle of Champions idea, and they somehow invited a couple St. Henry guys. Myself and Bobby Hoing are both in it, and they recognized some of the great high school players from the state of Ohio. So it's an honor to be in that. Usually when I'm at this game or at these events, Jerry Lucas, sitting in the booth, and that's always a pleasure to watch. Al Oliver, a great baseball player out of Portsmouth, Ohio. Got a chance to meet with him. Of course, as I mentioned, Bobby Hoing, the St. Henry player, great career here at Ohio State, was a record holder when he graduated here from the Buckeyes as an honors student, and then went on to have a successful career in the NFL, and now certainly in business with his development company. He's been doing some great things. He was a speaker on Wednesday, so it's great to, as you say, get back. And as a St. Henry guy, certainly this makes this event a lot of fun, seeing a lot of old friends.
If I've been asked once since Press Pros came around in 2010, because we, as you know, we cover the MAC extensively.
Right.
And if I've been asked once, 1,000 people have asked me what makes the MAC what it is. And I don't know that there's any one reason. It's character, it's work ethic, it's single parent homes, it's all those kind of things. But athletically, you experienced it. Give people your own view on why the MAC has won 126 state championships since its inception in 1972, not that long ago.
No, again, I played in the late 70s and graduated, of course, from St. Henry in 81, so I got the late 70s to early 80s of MAC, and of course at that time you just wanted to be married local and you just wanted to be Coldwater. And guess what, it really hasn't changed, really. I mean, those things hasn't changed. And you knew that if you could beat Coldwater and marry local, at least you could feel good in Mercer County. And little did we know that, heck, that extends beyond Mercer County and beyond Northwest Ohio. It's pretty good football, and I don't think we knew it. We kind of did. Certainly, when I got to Ohio State and started playing and thinking, there were some guys like Joe Crone from Coldwater was off Terry Hummelgarn, another teammate of mine that went to play on in Toledo. Both of those guys went on Toledo, were great high school football players. So it was a conference that had some players at that time who just knew about it. And then when they changed that format and blew out the playoffs, where the football, a lot of teams got invited. Then you saw those MAC teams just start to rise year in, year out. It's been like that, and it has really for about the last 30 years. I mean, late 80s, early 90s, we probably had a MAC team almost every year has been represented. So it's why? I don't think anybody knows. I think the things that you mentioned certainly are characteristics that stand out. But you're right, it's maybe where it is, that's what you want to do, because the town is so involved, the fans are so involved, everybody knows what you're doing, and you want to go out there and you want to play well. It's talked about a lot all week, and finally you get to Friday night lights, or you get a chance to play basketball, and or run in a track meet. It's a pleasure.
And it's so competitive.
It is.
Every coach, every kid talks about the competition.
It is.
And it's like playing against your first cousins.
Exactly. When you Minster, yeah. I mean, you talk about Minster. I mean, it was track and field. That was always Katie Horseman. It was a good friend of our family's over the years. What kind of the program that she had there for a long time, and really she helped put the MAC on the map too, because she had some early success in the track and field with the women's, and then it kind of just spread over to every sport after that.
And I would imagine, speaking of football competition, it didn't amaze you in 2014 when they won in divisions 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, how about
Minster,
that?
Marion, and Fort Recovery.
Yeah, don't ever take that for granted, man.
Or Coldwater.
Don't ever take that for granted when you can go out there and win in 3 divisions from one conference. It's really incredible. It just says a lot about the quality of football you played, and just think about the 4th place finisher in the MAC, how they feel. Yeah. Like, man, we could have been maybe a runner-up going against those top 3 teams all the time, but that's just the way it is. And then you look at that. What, a year later, Minster ends up, pulling through. Fort Recovery, gets the state champ, because they were one of those teams that were right on the edge, and then they got their opportunity. So it is a special conference. It has been, certainly since the early 70s when, at its infancy, no one really knew about it, but now everywhere you go, they want to talk about the MAC conference. One guy, quick story is Gordon Gee, the former president of Ohio State.
With the bow tie.
Yeah, he was always, whenever I would see him in a press box, and that was usually, about 7, 8 times during the fall home games, he would always stop up and do his radio show with Paul and I, or at halftime with Skip, but he would stop and talk to Paul and I, and usually he'd stop about 5 minutes to go in the second quarter, so he's standing right behind me. So, as we're describing the action, we'd go to a TV or a TV timeout, which meant a radio timeout, so we would take a break, and all of a sudden Gordon's right behind me and say, "What do you think?" And I'm like, I tell him what I think, and then I talk for another 10 or 15 minutes. He said, time out. What do you think? I'm like, aren't you listening? I mean, I don't know what to talk, but he was always interested in talking about the MAC football, St. Henry, the genealogy of it. I think he liked that end of it, because I think from his Mormon background, he liked to study the genes, and he goes, all those German Catholic people there from Western Ohio. That's
blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yeah, that's how they did it.
I'm sure you're excited about Marion Local, a MAC team in Saturday's final.
They really
what
played
do you
well.
think?
They really played well. That was a hard-fought game over in their opener. Get that tough 2-point victory. They needed everybody. Everybody stepped up. I was impressed with Nathan Brooks, the way he played there. Of course, he had some foul trouble in that first half and limited. In the second half, he came in and played well. Mesher seems like he's kind of unstoppable when he gets the ball and blocks. I think they got a nice team, and hopefully Coach Guttermiller can finish this thing off.
If 1,000 people have asked me about the MAC, I know there have been 1,000 athletes that told me that have gone on to college football, to professional level of their respective sports. They never had as much fun as they did playing in the MAC or playing at their respective high school.
Yeah, because those bus rides are short, you know. So after those games, you get a chance to enjoy it a little bit with your buddies, and then you all get to separate and go home with your families after the game. But it was always a lot of fun to win in the MAC, because it was generally a hard-fought game and very competitive. And at the end of the time, as you said, we usually knew everybody on the other side were related to them, so you had to be nice to them sooner or later.
There is Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Exactly. So you kind of, you would leave that on the field and then go ahead and shake hands and move on to that next event.
Jim, thanks for your time today. It's always great to talk to ex-athletes and people around the MAC country. Jim Lachey is our guest. And this wraps up this edition of First Person Again, sponsored by the Precision Strip Company in Minster. Check them out for your next opportunity. They're always looking for good people, a great place to start or finish a career. For Jim Lachey and our sponsors, thanks again for your support of what we do on Press Pros. We'll see you again next time with another edition of First Person.